Imagine a roaring V8 echoing through the streets of the late 1960s, the golden era of American muscle. These were the machines built for one thing only: pure, unfiltered speed. Today, we're counting down the 10 fastest muscle cars of the 1960s that dominated the quarter-mile strip. And we're starting from number 10. At number 10, we've got the legendary 1968 Ford Mustang 428 Cobra Jet, a beast that redefined what a Mustang could be. Under the hood sat Ford's monstrous 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8, pushing out around 335 horsepower on paper, but in reality, it packed closer to 410. Ford downplayed the power to keep insurance companies happy, but racers knew the truth. This car was a street-legal drag machine. In quarter-mile tests, the 428 Cobra Jet clocked an incredible 13.56 seconds at 106 miles per hour, numbers that could smoke most competition of its day. It wasn't just fast, it had attitude. The long hood, aggressive stance, and thunderous exhaust note made it an icon. Whether on the drag strip or cruising Main Street USA, the Cobra Jet demanded respect. And that's why it kicks off our countdown of the fastest muscle cars of the 1960s. Stay tuned, because number 9 takes the game to a whole new level. The number 9 spot belongs to a heavyweight from the Mopar family, the Plymouth GTX. This wasn't just a muscle car, it was a rolling thunderstorm on 4 wheels. Nicknamed the gentleman's muscle car, the GTX had class and chaos perfectly mixed. It looked sharp, sounded mean, and carried itself like it owned the streets. When this machine pulled up next to you at a stoplight, you didn't just see it, you felt it. The deep rumble from its exhaust warned everyone that this wasn't a Sunday cruiser. On the quarter-mile strip, the GTX ripped through in around 13.2 to 13.5 seconds, hitting speeds over 105 miles per hour. It was quick, confident, and surprisingly refined for a car built to dominate drag races. Drivers loved its balance, comfort on the road, fury on demand. It was muscle for those who wanted style with their speed, power wrapped in sophistication. And at the heart of all that elegance and aggression was the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi V8. Officially rated at 425 horsepower but feared for far more. The Hemi made the GTX unforgettable, and that's why it claims the number 9 spot among the fastest muscle cars of the 1960s. At number 8, we've got the Chevrolet Camaro SS 396 L89, a car that turned the rivalry with Ford into pure fire. The Camaro wasn't just about looks, it was a symbol of rebellion. A machine built for people who lived life 1/4 mile at a time. From the moment you saw it, the Camaro SS made an impression. The wide stance, the bold stripes, and that aggressive front end told you exactly what it was built for. On the drag strip, it was all business. The car tore through the quarter mile in around 13 seconds flat, crossing the traps at over 108 miles per hour. It had a perfect blend of muscle and motion, fast enough to earn respect, and stylish enough to steal the spotlight. Drivers loved how it handled, powerful yet controlled, brutal yet balanced. It wasn't just a car, it was an experience that glued you to the seat and left your heart racing long after the run was over. And behind all that speed and style was Chevrolet's secret weapon, the 396 cubic inch L89 V8 engine, delivering roughly 375 horsepower and a sound that made the earth shake. It's no wonder the Camaro SS 396 L89 stands proud at number 8 on our list of the fastest muscle cars of the 1960s. Sitting at number 7 on our list, this wasn't just another fast car, it was America's sports car unleashed. Sleek, low, and deadly on the streets, the '67 Stingray looked like it was slicing through the wind even when standing still. The Corvette was always known for its curves, but this one had a different kind of beauty, the kind that came with bite. With near-perfect balance and lightning-quick response, it felt like a race car you could actually drive every day. On the quarter mile, the Stingray didn't play around. It flew through in about 12.8 seconds, hitting triple-digit speeds with ease. Every gear shift felt like a punch, every run a rush of adrenaline. Owners loved its confidence, the way it hugged corners and devoured straight lines with equal hunger. It wasn't just a car to show off, it was a car that showed what American engineering could really do. And the secret behind that power? The 427 cubic inch V8 engine, officially rated at 435 horsepower, but known to push far beyond that. It was raw, loud, and brutally fast, the beating heart that made the '67 Stingray one of the most feared machines of the 1960s. Coming in at number 6, we have the 1964 Pontiac Tempest GTO, the car that started a revolution. Before the GTO, speed belonged to racetracks. After the GTO, it belonged to everyone bold enough to press the pedal to the floor. This was the car that turned family sedans into street warriors. When the GTO rolled out, it didn't look like trouble, but one roar from the exhaust and you knew it meant business. It had the soul of a racer hidden inside a clean, confident design. On the quarter mile, this pioneer clocked around 13.1 seconds, an incredible feat for a car that wasn't even supposed to exist. In fact, Pontiac engineers had to sneak it past corporate restrictions just to build it. The result? A legend that rewrote every rule Detroit had. The Tempest GTO gave everyday drivers a taste of dragstrip glory. It was affordable, powerful, and proud, a true muscle car in every sense. It didn't need flash or luxury, it had attitude, and that was enough to make history. And the heart of this revolution? The 389 cubic inch V8 engine, producing up to 348 horsepower with the right setup. That engine made the GTO roar, and with it, Pontiac gave birth to the entire muscle car movement. At number 5, we meet a car that proved luxury and muscle could live under the same hood, the 1968 Mercury Cougar XR7 GT. While other cars screamed for attention, the Cougar spoke with confidence. It had elegance on the outside, but a wild heart beneath. This was the kind of machine that could cruise through town like a gentleman, then turn savage when the light turned green. The Cougar was built for drivers who wanted refinement without losing that street racing thrill. It came with plush interiors, wood trim, and comfort unheard of in most muscle cars. But make no mistake, it wasn't afraid to brawl. On the quarter mile, it stormed through in just over 13 seconds, running neck and neck with the biggest names of the decade. It combined muscle car power with the kind of smooth control that made it stand out from the pack. People loved the dual personality, classy enough for a night out, brutal enough for a drag strip showdown. It was proof that performance didn't have to be rough to be powerful. And the secret to that balance? The 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 engine, rated at around 335 horsepower but known to punch far beyond that. It was the heart that made the XR7 GTE roar, refined, relentless, and one of the most underrated beasts of the 1960s. Number 4 on our list brings us a car that's as intimidating today as it was in 1968, the Dodge Charger R/T426 Hemi. This car wasn't just a muscle machine, it was a legend born from Detroit steel and pure attitude. The Charger looked like it was built to own the road, long, wide, and aggressive, with curves that made it look fast even when parked. It was a car that demanded attention and usually got it. When the Charger R/T hit the streets, everything else moved out of the way. It was a big car with even bigger performance, roaring through the quarter mile in about 13.5 seconds at over 105 miles per hour. For something this massive, that was shocking speed. The Charger wasn't about being light or subtle, it was about brute power and fearless style. From the sleek hidden headlights to the unmistakable taillight panel, it looked every bit the street king. Drivers loved the feeling it gave, that mix of unstoppable power and pure drama. It wasn't just fast, it was fierce. When you drove a Charger R/T, you weren't just behind the wheel, you were commanding a storm. And the thunder behind it all came from the 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, rated at 425 horsepower but known to deliver much more on the strip. It was raw, loud, and dominant, the perfect heart for one of the most iconic muscle cars ever built. At number 3, we're stepping into rare air, the kind of machine that was so powerful, it blurred the line between street car and race car. This is the 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, one of the most extreme creations ever to roll out of Detroit. It wasn't made for comfort or cruising, it was born for the drag strip, pure and simple. Only a handful were ever built, and each one was a weapon disguised as a Camaro. From a distance, it looked familiar, that bold front end, the classic Camaro stance, but what hid beneath the hood was far from ordinary. On the quarter mile, the ZL1 shocked everyone by tearing through in around 13.1 seconds at over 110 miles per hour. For a car straight from the showroom, that was staggering. It was light, fast, and merciless, the kind of car that left even seasoned racers in disbelief. People who drove it said it felt alive, as if it was daring you to push harder. It was a muscle car that thought like a race car, engineered for one thing: domination. And the monster responsible for that power was the all-aluminum 427 cubic inch V8 engine, producing around 430 horsepower but capable of much more when tuned. It was Chevrolet's secret supercar, a raw, explosive masterpiece that made the Camaro ZL1 one of the fastest muscle cars of the entire 1960s. At number 2, we meet a car that defined the phrase "no nonsense." This is the 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner A12, a machine built with one mission: to go fast for less. It didn't have fancy trim, shiny chrome, or plush interiors. It was stripped down to the essentials, because every ounce saved meant a fraction of a second shaved off the clock. It was pure muscle, loud, raw, and ready to race. The Roadrunner A12 was named after the famous cartoon bird for a reason: it was quick and impossible to catch. On the quarter mile, it blasted through in about 13 seconds flat, often leaving far pricier cars in its dust. This wasn't a car for posing or parading, it was for winning. Its flat black hood, simple design, and unmistakable beep-beep horn became symbols of speed and attitude. It was the working man's dragster, a car that proved you didn't need money to make power. Drivers loved it because it felt alive, unrefined, wild, and brutally fast. Every time you hit the gas, it roared back with pure energy. And the secret behind that untamed strength? The 440 cubic inch 6-pack V8 engine, equipped with 3 two-barrel carburetors and officially rated at 390 horsepower. In reality, it made even more. The Roadrunner A12 was the definition of muscle, simple, savage, and nearly unbeatable on the quarter-mile strip. And now we've arrived at number 1, the undisputed king of 1960s speed. The 1965 Shelby Cobra 427 wasn't just fast for its time, it redefined what fast meant. This car was chaos wrapped in aluminum, a wild mix of British design and American muscle. Built by Carroll Shelby, it wasn't about comfort or convenience, it was about pure, explosive performance. When the Cobra showed up, every other car suddenly looked slow. On the streets and the track, the Cobra 427 was a monster. It could rocket through the quarter mile in an unbelievable 12.2 seconds, leaving even the most powerful muscle cars behind. Weighing barely over 2,300 pounds, it was light, loud, and lethal. Drivers said it felt like trying to tame lightning: unpredictable, brutal, and absolutely exhilarating. It wasn't a car for the faint of heart, it was a machine for those who wanted to experience speed in its most unfiltered form. The Cobra didn't just win races, it built a legacy. It became a symbol of American dominance, the car that proved brute power and clever engineering could beat anyone, anywhere. And the fire that fueled it all came from the 427 cubic inch Ford the 5.8 engine, producing well over 425 horsepower and sounding like thunder on open pavement. The Shelby Cobra 427 wasn't just the fastest muscle car of the 1960s, it was a legend that still sends chills down every driver's spine.